In a heavy rain like that where all the trees needed to fall in the middle of all this mess, there he was, Lee Howan, a guy who didn't even have an umbrella, but had a report that said, "You're screwed, mate." And unfortunately, he was betrayed and pushed towards the Serpent Titan, and she looked like she had dinner today. That guy screamed why the worst things always had to happen to him, but by a stroke of luck or bad luck, he went to a place where sucking is not an option, but an obligation. And look, he didn't even have to pay the bill, and he's in a completely different place, full of succubi, looking very brightly at him, while he looks at the red screen with the expression of someone who just won the lottery, but doesn't know anything about how to spend that money or get more. Suddenly, our hero, without an umbrella, became the god of blood. And look, he even got a fan club of succubi. But wait, it's not what you're thinking, or is it? And the succubi are just whispering about how perfect he is. Now, Lee Howan has a mission to suck and level up and dominate, but with so